There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sci-Fi Talk on the Fangirl Zone, a podcast where we discuss shows on the Sci-Fi Channel. I'm Sean Fangirl S.
And I'm Steve, and today we'll be discussing episode 7 of season 5 of Van Helsing.
Oh my God.
They
all right, now first of all, yeah, I was going to say, first of all, that wasn't cool tweeting like that to us, Jonathan. I'm just saying.
No.
Like, previous to us seeing it, this is a big episode for Axel. That was not right.
Right.
You are so wrong. But it was good. But I also want to say, very unique way to make sure your cast is wearing masks.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'd probably wear one. I mean, I wear my mask all the time right now, but I'd probably wear it even more if it was something like that.
Yep.
Mostly to mess with people. Anyway, oh my gosh. So I am sad that this is episode 7.
Right. And still no Vanessa.
Yes. That's stressing me a lot. But we're just getting so close to the end. I don't know how I feel about that.
Right.
It's like the end, like for real. So it was a good episode.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad for that, but it's like, it's just looming, like, you know that it's there. The end is coming. Oh, well, hopefully everybody is like on board and cool with everything that's going on. And I know a lot of people are still like hoping that they renew it, but I think this is pretty much like set, right? They were they know this was the end, so they were able to do what they wanted to do.
Right.
Okay. So I'm still happy we're getting this.
Yes.
And still can't believe Jonathan did that.
Alternative.
Oh my gosh, so many shows. Just leave us hanging. We're going to get a finale, people, like for real. So deep breath and just we'll hold on and cherish each episode. Let's jump into episode 7, Graveyard Smash. Oh my God, now I want to sing. Thanks.
Yes.
As Axel and Julius continue their search for the Van Helsings, Violet and Ivory try to decipher a new clue, all the while staying one step ahead of the Dark One. Are they really ahead? I'm starting to get worried. I will tell you that.
They made a giant step, though. They went from Colorado to Philadelphia in one episode. That's pretty
that's
good.
True. That is true. It's like, how'd they get there that fast? But and how'd everybody catch up? It's like, okay. They got around the clouds, the orange cloud. And so, I mean, I guess things are going in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just scratching my head, but we'll see what happens. Let's open with the talking head. And I don't mean the band.
No.
So this was weird because you get to see like the eyes and the mouth. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's Oracle. But we find out, no. It's the Oracle channeling herself through a head just hanging out on the hood of a car. What the hell?
Yeah.
This is a new one.
Yes.
And the head/Oracle is demanding that the Van Helsing be captured and brought to the Dark One along with the amulet. I thought at one point it's like cut off her head and bring the head and the amulet. Like they didn't necessarily want her alive.
Right, yes.
Okay. I was like, was I not hearing that right? Just because of the way things were said later, I was starting to question that.
Right.
And who the hell is this? Like brood leader.
Never seen him before.
No, totally new.
And he wasn't the brood leader because the head was the brood leader.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I didn't even think about that. That's really weird now.
Yeah,
it's like, well,
the Oracle threatens him that he'll be taken care of just like the former brood leader, which was the head she was talking through.
Awkward.
Just a little.
Well, our new leader is like, the Van Helsing is powerful and immortal, but is told that a child without a head is a threat to no one. Okay, but hear me out for a second. You guys couldn't get close to her, but you want me to do it.
Right.
okay. Yeah, I'm just like, that's a setup if there ever was one.
Oh, absolutely. And they've got to be worried that the Van Helsings are coming for them.
Right, or at least know a way to take them out somehow.
Right, or know where they're at.
Right. And yeah, I love it. I want assurances. There is no assurance but death if you fail. It's like, this is not the pep talk I need. That's what I'm thinking is going through his head, right? It's like,
your threats will not motivate me.
Like, you're not making this deal any sweeter, is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Let's see. I die if I fail. Well, yeah, because the Oracle isn't the one going to kill you at that point. That would just be the Van Helsings.
Yes.
Or I try to hide and I die because eventually you send your crazy elite forces after me. I don't know. I think I'd roll the dice with option 2, to be honest.
Yep.
But apparently, this guy is not thinking as clearly as I am right now. Because the Oracle severs the connection and the head just kind of rolls off.
Or
off to the side.
Yeah, he just
kind of like thumped over, and then the guy like knocks it off and he's all mad. It's like, okay, you can play kickball later.
Right.
But when he's asked too, do you think we can kill the Van Helsing? It's like, what other choice do we have?
Yeah.
And see, at least the woman had the same kind of idea as I did.
Right.
I'm saying a better headspace. It's like, well, we can flee and find some territory outside or reach. But I mean, the guy was pretty spot on, which just really isn't a territory outside of reach.
Right.
I don't know. You can go hide on an island somewhere. Take her longer to get to you.
Yeah, at least.
And then we go from then to Violet and Ivory. And I was trying to figure out what in the hell Ivory was doing.
Right.
Because she's standing up on like a mound that looked like it was on top of a half wall or something. And she's screaming. And I love it. Violet pretty much was same as me. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And she runs up because, yeah, I would be a little freaked out too. It's like, we're trying to not be killed.
Right.
Hello.
And your screaming is just attracting more.
Right. But I thought she was like, it sounded like she was saying word too. And I couldn't figure out what she was saying.
Right.
Unless it was supposed to be name. But I could be wrong. And it could have just been like that guttural sound that she was making.
Right.
But Ivory decides to share the information with Violet, thankfully. She said, this is a call the sisterhood used to signal an attack or to find one another if they got separated. And Violet looked a little confused, and I think I was too, to be honest. She's like, but they're all gone. And Ivory's like, yeah, I know, but there's still hope that one day I might get a reply, and I'm not actually the last of the sisterhood. And I was thinking about that. I mean, just because they weren't with Ivory doesn't mean they're actually all gone, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we hadn't officially seen that.
Right. Well, but we kind of did because we saw the sisterhood over in Transylvania. We know that Ivory was somewhere where the Spanish invaded. So,
right.
Yeah, you would think that there's probably sisterhoods all over the world. So, yeah, it's still possible that some are still alive.
I guess we have to wait and see in the last few episodes if any other ones pop up. But Violet's like, okay, listen, we need to be together. We need to keep that hope on the inside with our inside voices is basically what Violet was saying. I love it. And Ivory's like, but why? Because no vampire would dare come towards the call of the sisterhood. It's the call of death. And the sisterhood was feared from coast to coast. Now that I didn't think about because they don't all necessarily know what happened to the sisterhood.
Right.
So I was like, oh, you know what? After she said that, I'm like, I kind of feel like not only was this, okay, the call to try to see if somebody answers, but that's a good deterrent, especially if they're kind of low-level vampires.
Right.
And yeah, really, it's like, thank you for explaining that because I really felt like that did make a lot more sense then.
Yes, it did. Now, I don't know how well a super vamp, I don't think it would be scared of anything, even the sisterhood.
You mean like the orange doped up one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that because they were tearing each other's arms and legs off. But still, like every other one, I think, yeah, that would be a good deterrent.
Right.
And of course, Violet's still like, yeah, but can we try not to bring any just in case?
Right.
Like, Violet at least is really cool about it. Like, yeah, okay, great plan. But how about we do this? And then Ivory's like, no. You know what? You're part of the sisterhood now, too. So we need to hear your cry. And I love the look on Violet's face at that point. Like, say what? Did I not just say we should be quiet? Inside voice, church mouse kind of thing. And man, that look on Ivory's face was just like, we're not going anywhere until you do it.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's like trying to pick up a toddler that's going dead weight right now. You might as well just do it. Because So Violet gets up and she screams and cries and Ivory joins her. And then we get like a pulled back camera angle. And it's like, where are they? It looks like a wall. And
yeah, it did.
If this happened, how fast did these freaking walls go up? I don't understand. Because literally season 1 showed us it was like super fast when the cloud happened and everything went pear-shaped.
Right.
So I was trying to figure out where the heck they were. Because I'm like, maybe it's like a dam.
Right. My first thought was that they were in Central Park in New York City.
I have only been in Central Park once. So obviously that's so huge. You can't really cover it all. I don't remember any huge wall like that, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Like CGI wall right here.
Yeah.
But I didn't think about them being in Central Park because they had to go to the East Coast. So
right. Yeah. I didn't think of Philadelphia, but I've never been to Philadelphia. So I don't know if they've got a park similar to Central Park in the middle of the city and have it walled up.
Unless it's just supposed to be so overrun, it just kind of looked like a park. Because this is one thing that they did do well. They had really long grass in places.
Right.
Which I know that sounds funny, but if you watch The Walking Dead, that was the thing. It's like, who's cutting the grass?
Yeah.
So at least they had really long grass in places. I thought was good. So yeah, I mean, I guess it could be pretty much anywhere.
Right.
But just the wall is what was throwing me.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking it was like a dam or something. But they kept talking about we have to get past the wall. So that like really got me scratching my head. I'm going to have to rewatch because I'm still trying to figure out where the hell the wall would be.
Right.
Like between Canada and the U.S. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be on the East Coast. I would figure it probably around the Mississippi. I would think it would be a good place to put a wall.
That's a good idea. But again, how the heck did they get it up so fast? But
right, yes.
Vampires. Anyway, Violet and Ivory arrive at a overgrown playground. Again, made me feel like, okay, they really thought about this with all the high grass and all.
Right.
But I also thought about Channel Zero.
Yes.
Because if you listen to Channel Zero, I don't remember which season of it. It was the Butcher's Block, I think.
Yeah.
That it reminded me a lot of that. I'm like, if there's stairs, don't go to them.
Yes.
And if you haven't watched Channel Zero, watch it. That season was so messed up.
Yes.
But anyway, that was a good show. But yeah, I just love how it like throws your mind to something else. It's like, oh, something else creepy. I was expecting something to like pop up out of the tall grass though.
Right.
Like I was like, okay, I'm not going to jump. I know something's going to jump up.
I know.
I was trying to prepare myself, especially when Violet's walking around and Ivy is saying, I don't understand why we're here. And Violet's like, we're looking for clues. I'm like, something's going to jump up.
Yes.
It's going to attack them. I was just waiting for it. And when Violet walks over to the monument and starts reading it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be behind her. What's happening? And nothing happened. And I think I was more stressed out waiting for something to happen.
You're right.
Because I'm like, oh, this is actually like kind of a chill, calm moment. I was like, I can't, I'm like freaking out. I know it's weird. I've watched too many horror movies is what it is. So thanks for breaking up that monotony and making me just be stressed out for nothing, Jonathan. So like I said, Violet found a monument to the Liberty Bell and it tells the history, kind of, I guess, of where the Liberty Bell is. Now, I've never been out there, and Steve, you said you'd never been out there.
Right.
So if anybody knows more about the monuments they were talking about, because I'm assuming it's a real monument.
Right. Yes.
Since Violet does say that Jack was a big history buff, especially colonial time history. And because people were afraid the British would take the bells and melt them all down for bullets, that the colonials hid them in a church that was still standing at the time. And I thought that was really interesting. And I want to know if like that monument is actually there, if that's like a true kind of thing.
I'm
or if
pretty
it's
sure
like,
it is.
okay, I didn't know if it was like, okay, we took part of it being true, like the whole thing with the church
Right.
bells being hid, and then we added to it. I just
Right.
wonder, because I think that's really interesting. And now I really want to go on a trip. Of course, I want to go anywhere. We've been stuck in Hope for, 15 months?
Yeah.
It feels like. So it's crazy. I was a little concerned with Ivory seeming so skittish
Right.
about going to a church.
Yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh, why is she so freaked out? Because first of all, I mean, general vampire lore, from everything I've read, if you weren't Catholic, I mean, like a Catholic church or the cross wouldn't really affect you. So I was trying to figure it out, because the whole reason Ivy was originally burned was because she wouldn't accept the church. So they weren't exactly saying Catholic, but I think that was pretty much it back then, right? Catholic and Protestant.
Yep.
I think. I don't remember. I'm not good at history, people. I'm sorry. But when she was so skittish, I'm like, is something going to happen? Is she going to like go in and not burst into flames, thankfully? But it's like, what is she going to be all messed up because something with the church? But
holy water, something.
I just didn't know, because that hasn't played at all in this series either.
No, it hasn't.
So it was just strange to me.
Yeah.
But Violet's like, no, we have to go there because Jack left us this clue knowing I would understand it and only I would understand it.
Right.
So we have to go there. And Ivory reluctantly agreed. But I was still like, what is happening? This is weird. So it wasn't just me that thought it was a little off.
No.
Right?
Yeah. That bothered me too, was the way Ivory reacted. And maybe it's just because it was a church.
Maybe just the whole feelings of the people who burned her, because they wouldn't accept. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but it's at the same time, Ivory, you know, those guys are way gone, right?
Yes.
They were probably dinner, because when you all got changed at that point, I think Michaela probably made sure they were gone pretty fast.
Yeah.
We get to walk up on the church, and I don't know about you, but I'm like, there's an awful lot of lights on.
Yes.
If this is supposed to be trying to stay like undercover, that didn't sound right. Sorry, guys. But if it's supposed to be like quiet, like, okay, there's stuff hidden here and we'll help survivors, but we don't want the vampires to know, maybe not have so many lights on.
Right.
And when they go in, they go through the gate, it's like, oh, be quiet. Let's sneak around. I can't see anything. I'm like, there's lights on.
Right.
A lot of lights. How are you not seeing things? I was just getting irritated at that point. But I will tell you, because we don't see anything at first. And all of a sudden, Violet's like, no, there's something here. Everything in my body is screaming at me. And I was half expecting like a nun to walk out with like her face covered and it'd be Jack.
Right.
I was just waiting. I'm like, okay, what's coming out of the shadows? What's going to happen? Especially when all of a sudden we hear noises.
Right.
Because we hear, I think it's the gate, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first they're like, oh, we have to go in the basement. And I'm thinking, again, every horror movie ever, don't go in the basement.
No.
Because I love it. Violet's like, well, that's where the bells were kept. And Ivory's like, yeah, maybe no.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Ivory, I'm with you on this one. But when they hear the noise, again, I'm like, is it going to somehow be like old Jack? What's going on? How did Jack survive? I was like freaking out. But they hide. And again, pet peeve. I'm like, all right, if you're going to hide, hide. Ivory ducks in a pew and her sword hilt is like sticking out above the pew.
Yeah.
Like, you're not hiding very well.
No.
Duck, I don't know, squeeze under something. But yeah, that was just like, okay. Who didn't pay attention to that? But it's okay, because who comes in? It's Julius and Axel. Yay! Oh my God. So they finally found them. I loved it.
Yes.
And I got a little worried because with the opening, which I think was technically the closing from last week when they were talking about the compass.
Right.
They're like, oh, well, you know, it's not guaranteed that we're going to find them, but this puts us on the right direction. And I'm like, does that mean they're going to not end up where they need to be? Is what I was really worried about this whole time. But Violet gives Julius a big hug and Axel's just like, hey, what's up? You know, with Mr. Cool. And Axel fills them in on what Agent Orange did to them, because Julius looks a little worse for the wear still.
Yes, he still does.
Now, he must have got hit pretty bad, and I just didn't realize how messed up he was, and Doc really had to patch him up. I mean, I know she had to shock him back to life.
Oh, yeah.
But I kept looking. I'm like, did he get like cut or something?
Yeah, remember when the last episode, they had to fight those vamps and Julius got the knife to the gut.
Right. Okay, because I'm like, why does he seem to kind of be like holding? Okay, that makes sense now.
Yep. And even though he did take a drop of the serum, apparently it's not working great. I mean, it may be healing him, but yeah, as the episode went on, Julius just kept looking worse and worse.
He did. And that kind of had me worried all through it.
Absolutely it did.
But we kind of had good news because Ivory asked if there was any good news. And Axel shows her the one and done bullet. But he's saving this one for someone special. Whether it's going to work or not on that someone special, a.k.a. the Dark One, I guess we may know. I was going to say we may never know. But no, I think we'll find out. But right. I don't think it would be that easy.
No, he'd have to be point blank and her looking the other way or something.
Or one of those like exploding grenade rounds or something. Yes. Maybe that would do it. Julius does ask, hey, why are we in a church? And Violet informs them that I think Jack left something for us. And I love it because Julius is like, wait, wasn't she still in the dark realm? And I love how they're just so casual at it. Oh yeah, Jack time traveled to the past. What? Yeah, there's a lot of weird things happening. That would have probably been the moment where I'm like, okay, time travel, this is a bit much. I mean, yes, I may be a vampire or a former vampire, but this is a bit much for me.
Right.
But they are filled in on the plan, and it's like, okay, we got to go to the basement. Great. So they all head down. But Ivory pauses first to look out the window and just making sure everything's good. And of course, as she walks off, a female vamp peers inside. Great. So she was close, but then what? She like runs back because then she's nowhere near the church later.
Yeah, I think she just was doing some recon.
Okay, the scout.
Yeah.
Apparently that basement is huge.
Yeah.
Because they get down there and they're like, well, we got to split up. So Axel and Julius one way, Violet and Ivory the other. And hey, yell if anything happens. Yeah, great. And we suddenly see some feet, but upstairs, like walking in the church, and then a backpack drop and a can of food comes out. So I'm thinking, all right, can of food, obviously not a vampire, right? At least I hope it's not a vampire.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was, but...
But I was confused with the food. That's why I'm
right,
vampire.
Yeah.
But are we finally going to see Vanessa is what I was thinking. I'm like, oh,
right, yeah.
They're building this up. We're going to get Vanessa. And we're not getting Vanessa, at least not right this minute, because we're getting Ivory questioning whether somebody beat us to it, whatever it is.
Right.
And Violet's like, no, it's still here. And Violet goes off to investigate because she heard something. I don't know. A scrape?
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't understand. It's like, okay, she goes and then notices inscription on the wall. Kind of dusts off the decades, centuries of dust.
Centuries worth of dirt and dust. Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, hey, she tells Ivory, wait a second. And of course, at that point, Ivory calls Axel so we can all be together, at least figure out what's going on. And Violet's like, we're in a burial chamber. Again, not making me feel any better about things.
Right.
And Violet at least was smart enough. She's like, well, if she left something, the vampires would not rob graves. Why would they?
Right.
So that would be a good place to hide it. And this is what I couldn't hear because all of a sudden she kind of giggles because she finds a name.
Right.
Which she's like, this is it. And I love Ivory's like, how do you know? Because I didn't catch the name.
Right. Yeah, I didn't. It was a Spanish name. I know that.
But apparently it was Jack's favorite anime character, which is why I kept trying to hear it. I'm like, why do we keep missing this freaking name? It like wasn't clicking. So I'm guessing it's not one that I recognize either. But apparently it was so much her favorite that she put it on her fake ID. So now I'm like, is this a real character?
Right.
I need to know what anime this is from. I loved it though when Julius looks at Axel and he's like, what's anime? Axel just shrugs. I mean, come on. How do you not know? You don't have to watch, but I mean, Axel would have been definitely right in the like Speed Racer,
right?
Voltron. Come on, you gotta know what this is. And if somebody is actually asking what anime is at this point out there in listener land, it's Japanese animation.
Yes.
very specific type. It looks a lot different. If you've ever watched awesome, like My Neighbor Totoro, or like I said, Speed Racer, Voltron, was it Gungam? No, Gungam are robots. I can't think of them. But that's all anime. Come on. I can understand Julius not knowing. He was like way back.
Yeah.
Way back. But come on, Axel. Anyway, all of a sudden, right before Violet's about to break through the wall with, hello, how do you not have something to use? You're just going to use like the butt of your gun? How is that not going to somehow mess something up? That's all I kept thinking.
Right.
Like, I don't know, do you not have like a mallet, a hammer, anything? But before she's able to do anything, there is suddenly a gun at the back of Julius's head. And we have Julius pretty calm. I probably would not have been.
Right.
He's like, hey guys.
Yeah.
And we turn around. And again, why was nobody watching the doorway?
Right.
If you're worried about vampires, pay attention.
Yep.
Axel's like, hey, who are you? And of course, that's none of your business. And there's nothing for you down here. Get out of here. If you leave now, I'll let you live. I'm like, yeah, there's 4 against 1.
Right. Yeah.
Granted,
you ain't going to get them all.
Right. Somebody ain't making it. I mean, that's pretty much taken for granted, but come on. And Violet is trying to explain. And again, Violet, you're about to basically be a grave robber.
Right.
And this priest is not having it. So you do sound a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs when you're like, yeah, I just need to get something out of here.
Yeah,
it was left for me. Yeah, this is sacred ground, girl. It hasn't been disturbed in over a century. Yeah, about that. I know this is crazy, but just hear me out. And I love it because the guy is, I think, spot on with his reactions. Like, if you touch the wall, I'm going to paint it with his brains. It's like, ooh, not good. Julius is like, yeah, maybe we can have a timeout because his face was like, can't handle this. I'm getting too old for this. And Axel, of course, why do you care so much about all the stiff stashed in the wall? Really? Come on, Axel. At least have a little respect.
You're right.
I mean, if he's the priest of that parish, then he swore an oath to protect the graves. And then he goes on with, my family has done so for 200 years. So obviously it's more than just the priest and like keeping everything up.
Right.
But suddenly, Violet, was it a Van Helsing that made you swear that?
Yes.
Could you not have just started, listen, I'm a Van Helsing. There's stuff I got to do. But I love it. How do you know that name? That is my name.
Exactly.
The look on Violet's face. Do you think I'm just throwing this out for the hell of it? Come on. And listen, I believe my sister Jack buried something behind the wall 200 years ago. Again, cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. But she does finish with saying, this could end the darkness that we live in. And at that point, I think the guy's like, maybe we'll try this because I'm tired of this mess. He tells her that she has no proof and wants to know if you can really heal those monsters and turn them back with a bite. And I love it. They're all like, yeah, I was one. So was I. So was I. I mean, anybody could have actually said that, but then why didn't she pull the, here, watch my hand heal when I cut it thing? Like, isn't that how Jack got it?
Yep.
Got them to believe, so maybe you should have tried that. It probably would have been quicker. But he is a man of faith, so he isn't going to believe every fairy tale. And I'm thinking, isn't that kind of an oxymoron? I mean, if you're a man of faith, you got to take stuff on faith. So you got to believe it, whether it's a fairy tale or not at this point. You're living in a fairy tale. Who believed that vampires were going to be roaming? Come on. So then he happened to notice the amulet and realized that Violet's telling the truth because there were stories told about the one wearing the amulet. And again, is it just me? Or would you have that tucked away? And does the length of that necklace keep changing?
Yeah. I think it's still about the same, but yeah, maybe Violet's neck's getting shorter.
I just feel like one time she took it off over her head, and that looked like such a short chain, like it wouldn't get past her chin.
Right.
And then sometimes she pulls it off, which again, you're breaking the clasp. Okay. It just was really odd. It's little details that just get under my skin. I can't help it. Let's get back to the priest because we don't want bullets getting under Julius's skin, right?
Right.
So somehow the guy comes around after seeing the amulet. Like it was a super quick turnaround.
Right.
And he thanks Violet for risking his life every day totally worthwhile. It's like, you don't even know what's going on, dude.
Right.
She's just wearing an amulet. But okay, if that's what it takes. And then we see Violet break into the vault. I don't know if it's called something else. I mean, that's pretty much it, right?
Yep.
Into the wall. And they grab the coffin. I almost said sarcophagus. Sorry. But they take it out and it's like, all right, well, we got to open it. And Violet's like, I'll do it myself. And that's when the pastor's like, hey, you were really a vampire? It's like, yeah, I was. Oh, cool. Good to meet a friendly giant.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, wait, did you meet a not so friendly giant recently? What's going on? Because then I got a little worried thinking he was working for that big brood leader. Because I'm like, that guy was kind of big. And I'm thinking, oh, the way he said it.
Right.
I'm like, red flag, red flag.
No, I think the pastor was just glad to see somebody as big as Julius was no longer a vampire.
Telling you, I'm seeing like crazy stuff everywhere, wondering what's coming out of the shadows, basically, with the show. When they do end up opening the coffin, they see an American flag wrapped around something, which it ends up containing Bathory's scroll. And I'm like, great, nobody knows how to read this thing.
No.
What's going to happen? And Violet's like, something's missing, and they're kind of like touching the body. And I did not want her to unwrap the body.
Right.
Because I got worried. But of course, she's going to. And Axel's kind of like, target's on our back. We should probably get moving. And Ivory's like, yep, let's go. We got what we came for.
Right.
And Violet just is still uncovering slowly. And then when she gets to the head, finally, she unwraps her. And Jack is just Jack.
Right.
Not mummified,
No.
not bones.
Hadn't aged a day. Sleeping Beauty.
Yes, that's good. I didn't think about that. And Axel's like, hey, I've seen this before with one of your ancestors. Oh, yeah, and Vanessa.
Yeah.
I love how that's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but you literally were there the entire time with Vanessa.
Right.
That should have been what you thought of first, not that ancestor. It's like, oh, maybe she's not dead. And I love the rest of them are like, what? How is that possible? It's like, I don't know, but really, with everything that we've seen, knowing now that Jack time traveled, this is a bridge too far.
Yeah. This is a stretch.
Yeah. I love that Axel actually said that out loud. Because there's other people saying the same thing.
No.
And yeah, it's like, hello, you've been with us this far on this journey, and this is the road too far. Okay.
Yeah, Axel had the best lines in this episode.
Oh, God, yeah. And Axel's like, yeah, well, when Vanessa woke up, it's because Flesh, when he was still a vampire, bit her. And I forgot that's how he turned back into human.
Right.
Because I was thinking for some reason, like, it wasn't just if they bit her, she had to bite them.
Right. Either way.
But, yeah. Violet questions him about, well, there's vampires somewhere. We can get them to bite her, I guess. It's like, well, that's probably not the best thing because they're probably not going to be super happy with you.
No.
And then I was like, you have the Dark One's blood in you. Maybe you can wake her up. And I thought she had gotten rid of everything by, I don't like puking that.
Yes, but
whoa.
It's still because of having Van Helsing blood, even purging the darkness that she sucked in isn't going to get rid of all of it because she's still got that bug in her blood system. Even if it was synthesized.
Gotcha. See, I didn't even think about that.
Right.
That's why I was only thinking about what she took in. And yeah, like they're really making us go back and think.
Yes.
So Axel's like, well, we can talk about it. And Violet's like, I'll try. It's like, okay, then. Guess we're not going to talk about it.
No.
And Violet grabs Jack's arm and bites. And I swear I heard a crunch. It's like, what?
Yeah, you hit a bone there, Violet.
It's like, yeah, easy there, killer. And I love how the pastor's like, oh, I need a swig from his glass.
A very big swig.
Hope that was some good bourbon. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And we have Violet, of course, like, please let it work. And Ivory saying the same thing. And Axel's like, don't know what's happening. I'm just going to watch and hope. And everybody's eyes were kind of big. And then suddenly Jack sits up and deep breath, looks at Violet. What took you so long? Like, oh my God. That was crazy though.
Yeah.
And they still haven't exactly said it, but they kind of go about like explaining it because they're upstairs and Jack apparently is really hungry. She's chowing on something. And they're like, okay, how did you know to do this? It's like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just like an instinct, like in our blood, we know to do it.
Right.
Because that was weird, but how else, I guess, would she have gotten back?
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, she had to do the deep sleep thing.
Yeah, otherwise she would have been like I said, like an old crone or something.
Right, yeah.
And that probably wouldn't have been much help.
No, we saw how well Julius's mother wasn't able to take care of herself, and she was a vampire.
They do ask about Vanessa. They're like, well, where is she? Well, she's still in the Dark Realm. She's trying to learn how to control it, but she was at least able to open the portal for me to get to the past. So she's got some control, I guess. And then we get back to the scroll. It's like, can you read this then? And Jack's like, no. And Ivory's like, well, I can't. Okay, great. Who's going to cast this fancy spell to help? And Jack's just like, oh, the Oracle. What?
I love
Jack,
that.
you expand. No. You're just going, no, she's got it. What? Listen, you need to help and give information because you suck at it right now.
Yeah, I loved Axel's reaction to that.
Yeah, I love that. Like his face, like, are you nuts?
Yeah.
But then Jack's like, well, listen, Bathory was once a vampire hunter like us, and we fought side by side, and we almost defeated the Dark One. Well, you know what they say about almost and close, right?
Yes.
Only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So, great. So, how exactly are we getting the Oracle to read this? And at least Axel was like being Axel. It's like, listen. Yeah, I'm not being a Debbie Downer, but how exactly are we doing this with the Oracle? Oh, don't worry. We just have to turn her back.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to get her to read it. Oh, is that all? Okay.
Yeah.
Axel's face, I swear, had to be what everybody was doing at home. Like, what?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Okay, fine. Yeah, this is going to go over like a lead balloon. And okay, let's get moving, I guess, to try this fairy tale out.
Right.
So as they're getting ready to leave, Ivory happens to bring out a bow. I don't know if it was actually Jack's bow or not.
Right.
And the pastor's like, yeah, you can have it because I couldn't hit squat.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is great. Yeah, that was convenient and weird, but whatever worked. And they're all ready to leave. And the priest is like, I'm coming with you. Jack's like, yeah, the more the merrier.
Right.
But as we're about to leave, cuts outside and the female vamp that we've seen peering in the window is like, the Van Helsing's in there, but she's not alone. So obviously they don't know about both.
Right.
And it's like, it doesn't matter. Kill them all and bring the amulet. It's like, yeah, okay. And we're going to be really quiet about it, obviously, for a sneak attack.
No.
We go running and it's like, all right, vampires, you're making a lot of noise. They're knowing you're coming.
Yep.
And, well, what does that mean? That means let's do what we can and lock ourselves in and start taking them out. And at this point, I swear Axel said something about we only have so many orange bullets, so pick your shots.
He did.
But why is he using the orange bullets on them? I thought they only needed that for like the super vamp.
Right. Well, it takes out regular vamps too, but yeah, I would have saved them for any super vamp. Now, of course, shooting a regular vampire or a daywalker isn't going to help you at all. You still have to take its head off. So, yeah, that just would be enough of a delay to maybe let you make your escape if they weren't outnumbered as many as there were.
Okay. That's why I thought that was weird that they were using. I'm like, you're wasting them. What are you doing?
Yes.
But we do see a heck of a lot of vamps go down.
Yep.
And at the same time, our crew is running out of bullets pretty fast. So it's like, all right, we're going to prepare to fight. But the priest is like, hey, basement. And Axel's like, that's not a good idea. It's like, no. Trust me. I felt like a wink and a nod. It's like, trust me, we got away. And I'm like,
Have faith.
Yeah. And we see the vampire leader like yelling, like, oh, let's get up. And that's when we also see a heck of a lot of orange mist.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah, which I thought was so weird. I'm like, what is controlling it? What's doing that?
Yeah.
Because it was moving like a certain way.
Right.
Again, I was probably projecting, but I'm like, is Vanessa somehow controlling this?
Right.
And we start hearing screaming. It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you see Julius kind of grabbing his side and not doing so good.
Right.
And Violet's like, okay, wait, come on, we got to get down, go somewhere. And that's when the screams get louder. And it's like, what the hell is going on? And I think Axel took one more look and he's like, it's a chemical storm. It's killing all of them. Oh, crap. It's going to kill us too if we don't get out of here. Get to the basement, folks. Hopefully it won't seep through. And you just see the vamps like dropping like flies.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't bad, right? Until the leader stands up, and he apparently was 0.5% or whatever it was.
Right, yeah, the 5% that turns into super vamps, yeah.
I loved how he had like the orange kind of like veins all over his head happening. Yeah. Although what was freaking me out was his eyes bugging out.
Yeah.
What is that? We do get to see down in the basement, though, that the pastor uncovers some underground tunnels that apparently was used by American forces during the Revolution. And Julius isn't looking so good, and he kind of sits on the floor. And we have the priest over there trying to crank open the gate. And I'm thinking, wait, if that's from like the American Revolution,
yeah,
how old is that chain and that gate? It's like, how is that not falling apart?
Yeah.
And everybody's ready to go through. And Violet like yells at Julius to come on. And he's not getting up. So she goes to help him because he's like, just go on without me. It's like, really, Julius?
Yeah.
Like, you think she's going to leave you. But seriously, they were not moving fast at all.
No.
And when the priest, as he's cranking everything up, happens to say, once this comes down, nobody can open it.
Right.
I'm like, this isn't good.
Right. This is not going to end well.
No, because what happened? The chain breaks and down comes the gate. Great. And not only that, it landed right on the pastor.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's all I kept thinking. It's like, okay. But
better
that
than
means
becoming a vampire.
Yeah. But that means Julius and Violet are stuck on one side.
Yeah.
Axel,
just
Ivory, and Jack.
Each other, they're going to get split up.
Yes. And I'm just thinking, great. This is like freaking me out.
Right.
Because what's going to happen?
Injured Julius and a super vamp and Violet. So
yeah,
this is not good.
No. And then when Violet hands the amulet to Jack, it's like, finish the job. You're like, oh, crap. Are they really going to kill her off? Is all I kept thinking.
Yes. Yeah, at
and
this
of
point,
course,
you're thinking Violet and Julius aren't making it out of this episode.
Right. You have that moment where it's like, I can't lose you again. I love you. I'll find you. We're family. It's like, I don't know about that. And I felt bad because I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. You guys might not make it. And of course, perfect timing, we hear the roar of the super vamp.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And Julius takes out his serum and he like puts a drop in. And at first he looks at it and I'm like, oh, is he going to tell her to like coat her knife or something in it? Like, because that should have worked, right? Because it's the serum.
Well,
but he doesn't.
It wasn't the same serum as the bullets.
Oh, I thought it was like a derivative of it so that it would work.
Well, it was more to help them heal faster and give them enhanced strength and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it wouldn't have it been probably made super vamps faster if they had gotten it.
That would have been really bad.
Yeah.
But as he's looking at his serum, Violet's like, what's that? And I love it. It's Miss Spinach. What?
Yeah.
And he just shot that right back. Just the whole thing. I'm like, well, this isn't good.
Yeah. Are you about to go boom?
Right? Because when he does it, he kind of went super vamp. And I got freaked out because he's like, back up. And he's like creeping out and looking at her. I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
So I really thought he was going to like heave up the gate and let her run after them.
Right.
Like, and then go fight like Super Vamp and do whatever. But he didn't pick up the gate.
No.
They go upstairs, both of them, because he's just going to fight. And why the hell is she holding him back? Because again, Super Vamp, creepy, give me the amulet, I'll kill you quickly with his bugged out eyes. And Julius pulls out a blade and takes off his jacket and like the scarf. And yeah, Violet's just like, sick him. It's like, what the hell? This is the weirdest interaction right now. But you had like a crazy fight happen between Julius and the Super Vamp.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like pews breaking and, like people getting thrown into the wall and just, what was it? Piece of a flag stand get in one and then the giant cross in the other. But just the back and forth fight. It's like, oh my God. At this point, I would have thought Violet could have just made her break for it. Like maybe that would have been the safest. But as the fight's going on, are we staying with the fight? No, we go back to the tunnels because we want to just screw with everybody's head.
Right.
And it's like, okay, Axel's like, Jack, we have to keep moving. We have to finish. And she wants to go back. Right. It's like Vanessa would finish the mission. I'm like, would she though? Yeah. Way to lie to the kid, but would she though? But they do make it to, I guess, the end of the tunnel.
Right. Up and out.
Yeah. Which it came out. I was like half expecting them to come out of like a grave. Not a grave necessarily, but like a mausoleum or something.
Right.
And I was just like, no, it's like a utility tunnel or something.
Right. Yes.
It's like, oh, okay. So we're back to the fight. It's all crazy. And Julius, and I'm like, Julius is going to die because he's got this cross sticking out of him. And then all you see is like a hand, but you don't see the hand really. You see a heart and then it drops. And I'm like, oh, whose heart is that? Because I didn't know, because you didn't get to see the hand all the way. You just, because it was all covered with goo.
Right.
And it was a super vamp. And I was like, maybe you should stomp on that or something, Violet, just in case. So super vamp dead, and Julius falls to the floor, and I'm like, he's not getting up from this.
No, he's not.
And Violet, who had been knocked out at some point during the fight, runs over to hold him. And Julius is like, yeah, well, you know what? I always knew what was going to happen if I did that.
Yep.
I'm like, always? It's been like 5 minutes, but okay. And Violet wants to know why. He's like, well, I did it to save you. It was the only way.
Yep.
And she's like, no, we can figure this out. And it's like, no, this isn't like before. This is my last go. But listen, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to die. Jack and Vanessa gave my life purpose. And I'm like, oh my God, don't do this. Don't make me feel all like horrible knowing that you did this awesome thing to save her. Because I feel horrible. Right. All the feels. And he's like, just finish the dark one and end all of this. And he dies.
Yep.
And that's when Violet lets out like this blood-curdling scream. And Jack kind of doubles over.
Yeah.
So she's thinking that Violet's dead.
Right.
And it's like, oh, crap. What's going to happen? Because then we're on the trail and we have Axel, Ivory, and Jack. And Ivory's like, we need to stop because she needs to rest. And Axel's like, there's not enough distance between us. Which, Axel, I'm 100% with you, because that dude, if he was coming after you, you'd have probably all been screwed.
Yeah.
But I don't follow you, Axel. I followed Jack. It's like, well, you were following Violet, but whatever. And it's like, fine, 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, well, if it was a super vamp, I think he would have caught up with you in that few minutes anyway.
Yeah.
And Jack looks at Ivory. He's like, did you feel that? It's like, it was nothing like I've ever felt before. And Ivory apparently had felt it too. So the whole sisterhood thing, I think, was a little deeper than they realized before. And Ivory's like, she could have survived. I didn't even think Ivory believed it when she said that.
Right.
So they start moving again. It's like, okay, we got to go. And all I kept thinking is, you see all those vehicles there, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you go try to hotwire one? You want to get room between you and Super Vamp that you know is dead. But then we hear a scream. And Jack was like, what in the hell was that? And Ivory screams back. It's like, now Axel's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm 100% on board. Had we not seen what it was earlier, I can totally understand.
The same thing.
Yeah. I'm like, shit, we gotta run because now you're freaking me out. There's something screaming and you're screaming back. Okay, let's go. But then we see Violet come running around the corner and, oh my God, okay, you survived. They hug and Axel's like, but where's Julius? And Violet pauses and finally says, he sacrificed himself to save me. And when Axel turns away, I'm like, okay, is he trying to figure out what to say? Because Axel just doesn't seem like the person that's going to break into tears.
But it hit him like a baseball bat to the gut.
Yeah, I do believe like it
he
really
even doubled over for a second, then tried to compose himself.
I mean, he does finally say something. And then he does a little, like, was it like a salute almost?
Yeah, I couldn't figure that one out. I think it was a salute. It was something military because at first it looked like he was kissing two fingers and holding them up. And it's like, nah, it's got to be more than that.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it was something that they had just done, kind of an off-screen thing. But I think this had to be awkward because Jonathan had directed this episode, right? And killed off Julius?
Yeah. I don't think he actually directed this one.
Oh, this wasn't the one? Because I'm like, that has to be weird. You're like, okay, listen, I'm going to kill you. What? But they kind of walk off into the sunset, so to speak. So they're going to go kill the Dark One for Julius and for all those that died because of her. And Jack's like, I waited 300 years for another shot. And her and Axel fist bump and hoorah. And it's like, okay, off they walk again. And Ivory gives out a few more screams. I'm thinking, if somebody answers back at this point, I think they're all going to be freaking out.
Right, yes.
Like, crap. But
absolutely.
There's so much unpack. And it sucks because now it's like, I really thought it was going to be the group to the end.
Yeah, I did too.
And so the fact that they killed off Julius, it's like, whoa, I was not prepared for that.
No, I wasn't either until I thought about it for a second and I went, well, of course, they gave us more of Julius's backstory the previous episode. And when that happens, that character usually dies in the next episode. And sure enough, the old trope held true again.
Great.
But yeah, Jonathan got a ton of dirty tweets. I know two specifically that will not let him ever forget that. At least have two, to go back and see more.
Yeah, because Alex is normally on tweeting at the same time, so I'm gonna have to go back and see how he responded because things get lost as everybody's tweeting furiously. I'll have to go back and look. But while I go back and look, why don't you stay in the present and rate and review us on iTunes and every other platform you find us on, because good ratings and reviews help other fans of the show find us. Tell your friends about this show because it's so good and they can totally catch up and watch it all the way to the end with you. And of course, we hope you're enjoying the podcast. You can check out all of our podcasts basically everywhere you find podcasts. And if you're on iTunes, apparently they're having weird glitches and we're on there multiple times. So, hey, we're not kidding when we say we're everywhere, because iTunes is like reproducing us like. Yeah. It's like multiplicity. We just keep getting reproduced. Okay. But you can also go to www.fangirlzone.com and check out everything there, our contacts page, our podcasts. We have, I believe, 27 different podcasts about so many different shows, and we look forward to hearing from you. But mostly we want you to send us an email. Your thoughts is what I wanted to say through an email to sci-fi talk, SYFY talk @fangirlzone.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you feel Julius had a great goodbye or not, because I'm interested in that.
Very honorable death.
Yes, I do believe that myself. Or just your general concerns. Or you can tell me what bugs you with some of these shows, with the one little thing that gets under your skin. So for this episode of Sci-Fi Talk, I am Sean Fangirl S.
And I'm Steve. He was a good friend.
And until next time.